Hey there, cozy seekers. As the snow falls and the world grows colder, there's no better time to grab a warm drink, snuggle up, and escape into a winter wonderland filled with adventure and heartwarming moments. Today, I've got two incredible stories for you. One is all about cozy winter cuddles with a touch of excitement, and the other takes us on a mysterious journey that'll have you gripping your pillow tight. So, get comfortable, because you won't want to miss this. And hey, while you're here, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments which story you loved the most. Let's dive in. Cozy winter cuddles with your girlfriend. Snowflakes swirled gently through the crisp winter air, carpeting the world outside in a thick blanket of pristine white. Inside your little cabin nestled deep in the woods, the cold seemed like a distant memory. For here, by the crackling fireplace, the air was warm and laced with the comforting scent of cinnamon-scented candles. You settled deeper into the oversized couch, a patchwork quilt draped over both you and your girlfriend. Her head rested on your shoulder, her soft brown hair cascading like a waterfall of warmth down your arm. She had claimed her spot by your side the moment the hot chocolate mugs were ready, each topped with mountains of whipped cream and a single peppermint stick for stirring. This, she sighed happily, her voice a mixture of contentment and the faintest hint of giddiness, is perfection. You chuckled softly, letting your mug rest on the coffee table. It is. I don't think anything can beat this. Your arm tightened around her shoulders, drawing her closer. Her fingers sought to intertwine with yours beneath the cozy layers of the quilt. The wind howled softly outside, but inside, it was a symphony of warmth and togetherness. The crackle of burning logs, the gentle whistle of a tea kettle beyond the sliding kitchen door, and her quiet hums as she traced invisible patterns on your hand. Suddenly, her hum ceased, and her eyes lit up as though she had remembered something delightful. She turned to you with that mischievous smile you knew all too well, the kind that always meant trouble or adventure, or sometimes both. So, she said, sitting up straighter, causing the quilt to slide down her shoulders just a little. What if we made this moment a teensy bit more exciting? You arched an eyebrow. Exciting how? I'm not sure I want to move too far from our perfectly warm nest here. Her smile grew even wider, her eyes sparkling like frozen morning dew-kissed by sunlight. Do you trust me? You hesitated only long enough to make her pout teasingly, then nodded with a laugh. Always. In response, she leapt to her feet, tossing the quilt aside and rushing toward the cabinet by the window. Snowlight poured through the frosted glass, illuminating her as she threw the cabinet doors open and rummaged around like someone on a treasure hunt. "What are you plotting over there?" you called, only half joking. "Patience," she replied, though her murmurs of aha and no, not that one made it impossible for you to stay entirely calm. Then, with an excited squeal of triumph, she spun around, a wooden box clutched in her hands. Your curiosity piqued. "What's that?" "This," she began, carrying it over and plopping back down beside you on the couch, "is my mom's winter scavenger hunt kit. She made it for me when I was a kid, and I totally forgot I brought it here." "A scavenger hunt," you repeated. "What kind of scavenger hunt?" Her grin widened, and she opened the box to reveal a collection of tiny hand-drawn cards, each depicting a winter-themed clue. "The best kind, a snowy scavenger hunt. We play outside for a bit, find all the clues, and then come back to the fireplace after we're frozen and ready to fall asleep. What do you say? Ready for a little adventure?" Your protest about leaving the warmth died as you watched her joy. Her enthusiasm was contagious. How could you say no when she looked like that? You grabbed your scarves and gloves and donned boots that still had flecks of old snow stuck to their soles. It wasn't long before you found yourself standing with her just outside the cabin, a fresh wave of icy air biting at your exposed cheeks. "All right," she said, tying her scarf snugly around her neck. "First clue. While nestled beneath the cedar tall, where snow has yet to fall, you'll find the treasure that started it all. A riddle, of course. She had grown up on mysteries and puzzles. It was in her bones." Together, you began scanning the surroundings, crunching through a layer of knee-deep snow. She giggled and ran ahead when she thought she found a likely cedar tree, and you could do nothing but chase after her, laughing when she purposely kicked snow toward your boots. Eventually, you both came across the cedar. A thin layer of snow clung to its wide green branches, but beneath it, as the clue promised, it was dry. She dropped to her knees and dug excitedly through the powdery white, gasping dramatically as her gloves brushed against something solid. A glittering tin containing 2 chocolate truffles. "Snack break," she announced, unwrapping one and popping it into your mouth before you could protest. You savored the sweetness as she read the next clue. Each step of the scavenger hunt carried you farther from the cabin, but everywhere you went together seemed to shimmer with that magical winter glow. You crossed a frozen creek and slid around like kids, trying not to topple over, tiptoed past a bush that seemed alive with the sound of chattering winter birds, and scaled the smallest hill you ever seen. She adorably insisted it was a mountain. At the top, she found the final clue buried under a pile of pine cones. It read, "Back where you started, you'll find the greatest treasure, warmth and laughter to last forever." She laughed, a puff of white air swirling from her lips. "That one's cheesy even for me," Well, I don't know about forever, you teased, nudging her with your arm. But warmth and laughter for the rest of the night sounds good. Arm in arm, you both made the journey back to the cabin, breathless and glowing from the crisp adventure. As soon as you stepped inside, the heat embraced you like an old friend, and you didn't waste time reclaiming your spot on the couch. She grabbed the truffles and a second set of steaming hot cocoa mugs she'd prepared while you'd laced your boots. When you pulled her back into your arms, snug under the quilt and cheeks still tingling from the cold, she leaned up to kiss your jaw softly. You were right, she murmured. Nothing beats this. And as the fireplace crackled again, and snow began falling heavier outside the frost-dotted window, you couldn't agree more. Wow, wasn't that first story the perfect blend of warmth and excitement? But here's the thing, winter magic isn't always so predictable. Sometimes it carries with it a mysterious chill that makes us question what's lurking just beyond the snowy horizon. So, if you're ready for a story that's just as cozy, but with an intriguing twist, let's move on to our second tale. Trust me, it's one you won't want to miss. Cozy winter cuddles with your girlfriend. The snow blanketed the woods in an undisturbed sheet of white, shimmering faintly under the overcast skies. You and Claire had been planning this winter cabin getaway for months, longing for some quiet time away from the noise. And now, here you were. The two of you had arrived just as the first snowstorm began. The small, rustic cabin wasn't much, just a single room with a wood-burning stove, a cozy rug, and a bed piled high with warm blankets. But it had everything you needed. And honestly, the simplicity made it perfect. Claire was already wrapped in one of the fluffy red throws, leaning on your shoulder as the fire crackled before you both. Outside, the storm howled against the windows, its icy breath muted by the thick wooden walls. She sighed contentedly, her voice soft. This is nice, isn't it? Just us, the fire, no cell service. She chuckled, nudging you teasingly. I know how much you check your emails. You laughed and pressed a kiss to her hair. I'm not thinking about work even one bit right now. Promise. I mean, how could I when I've got you here? She smiled up at you, cheeks pink from the warmth, or maybe from your words. But just as her hand slid into yours, a sound echoed faintly through the cabin. It was distant, a low, rumbling noise, almost like a groan, carried by the wind. Claire tilted her head and sat up. Did you hear that? You frowned, listening intently. For a moment, silence reigned, save for the crackling fire. But then it came again, a low, mournful sound, a bit louder this time. It wasn't the kind of noise you'd expect from the snowstorm or the creaking of wood settling. Could be an animal, you offered hesitantly, though though even you weren't convinced. Claire stood, pulling the blanket tighter around her shoulders. "Stay here. I'll check it out," she said with determination. "Like heck, you will," you replied, already grabbing your jacket and gloves. "We'll check it out together. If it's a bear, maybe it'll go after me first." "That's comforting," Claire said dryly, but smiled as you helped her into her boots and coat. The two of you stepped out into the biting cold, your breath forming visible puffs in the air. Snow crunched beneath your boots as you descended the cabin's front steps, the sound from before faintly reaching your ears again, eerier now in the open wilderness. It was coming from deeper into the forest. Claire shivered and held onto your arm, her blue eyes scanning the snow-draped trees. "It's strange. It doesn't sound like an animal to me. Doesn't it almost sound sad?" You nodded reluctantly. It did. There was a mournfulness to the noise that sent a chill down your spine, one that had nothing to do with the winter air. As you walked together into the woods, trudging through knee-high drifts, the sound grew clearer. It was a mixture of groaning and whispering, like voices overlapping, but not speaking any words you could recognize. Trees loomed tall and skeletal around you, their branches heavy with snow. And somewhere above, the clouds began to break, casting faint moonlight across the forest floor. Then you saw it. In the middle of a small clearing up ahead was an old, weathered well. Its stones were cracked and moss-covered, and a rotted wooden bucket lay frozen beside it. The strange noises were emanating from it, rising and falling in ghostly waves. Claire gripped your arm tighter. What is this?" she whispered. You shook your head, your throat dry. "I don't know, but we shouldn't get too close." Despite your words of caution, Claire's curiosity got the better of her. She stepped ahead, the lantern you'd taken from the cabin casting a soft, golden light over the ominous structure. Inside, the well yawned open dark, endless and uninviting. The noises stopped abruptly, like the wind had stolen them away. For a moment, only silence surrounded the two of you. Then, something shimmered faintly inside the well, a glimmer of blue light, like the reflection of the moon, but not quite. Claire froze. "Did you see that?" Before you could answer, the light grew brighter, pulsing gently as it rose higher, illuminating the dark interior of the well. It was mesmerizing, almost calming, and yet your gut screamed at you to run. You grabbed Claire's hand. "We should go now." But just as you turned to leave, a voice, soft, melodious, and undeniably clear, called out from the well. "Wait." Both you and Claire stopped mid-step, hearts pounding. The voice was neither male nor female, its tone gentle but hollow. It sounded almost pleading. "Please don't leave me." Claire looked at you, conflicted. Did you hear that? Yes, and that's why we need to leave, you insisted, pulling on her hand again. But the voice spoke once more, now tinged with sadness. I'm trapped, lonely. Please, won't you help me? Against every instinct screaming in your head, you found yourself turning back to the well. Claire, ever the kind-hearted one, refused to budge. Her eyes locked onto yours, filled with worry, but also compassion. What if someone really is trapped down there? She asked. You sighed, torn. Claire, this doesn't make sense. Who could survive down there in these conditions? And that light, it's not natural. The whispers began again, soft and mournful, as if echoing your hesitation. You felt a prickling unease spread through your chest, but Claire stepped closer. Hello, she called into the well. Who are you? How can we help? For a moment, there was no response. Just as you thought it would remain that way, the voice spoke once more, quieter now. You can free me. Bring the bucket, lower it into the well. Claire hesitated, glancing at the broken bucket at her feet. But before she could act, you grabbed her hand again, pulling her back. No, you said firmly, your voice low. This isn't right, Claire. We don't know what's down there. Something about this, it's wrong. The voice changed then, its tone shifting from sorrowful to something sharper, angrier. Don't leave me. The wind around you suddenly picked up, howling through the trees as the temperature seemed to plummet. The blue light in the well flared, brighter and colder, casting eerie shadows that danced across the snow. You and Claire stumbled back, your instincts finally overtaking the pull of curiosity. Run, you shouted, grabbing her hand tightly as the two of you bolted back toward the cabin. Behind you, the whispers grew louder, more insistent, but you didn't dare look back. The cold air bit at your lungs as you pushed forward, your heart pounding in your ears. The beam of the lantern swung wildly in the dark, but finally, the faint golden glow of the cabin's windows came into view. You burst inside, slamming the door shut and securing the latch as Claire collapsed onto the rug, wide-eyed and shaking. The wind outside howled louder now, as if in protest of your escape. For a long moment, neither of you spoke, the only sound in the room the crackling of the fire. Finally, Claire broke the silence, her voice trembling. What was that? You hugged her close, your own heart still racing. I don't know, and I don't want to find out. The two of you stayed that way for a while, clutching each other as the storm raged on outside. Slowly, the fire and the warmth began to ease the tension in your bodies, and the whispers faded into the icy night. You didn't sleep that night, not really. But as dawn broke and the snowstorm finally subsided, you resolved never to venture too far from the cozy comfort of the cabin again. After all, some mysteries were better left unsolved. And there we have it, two tales of winter magic, one adventurous and one mysterious, both wrapped in that perfect snowy charm. Whether you're here for the heartwarming cuddles or the spine-tingling chills, I hope you enjoyed escaping with me into these snowy worlds. If you loved today's video, remember to give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and share your thoughts below. Which story did you connect with the most? And if you're craving more cozy or mysterious vibes, check out the other videos on the channel. I've got plenty of stories to keep you entertained all season long. Until next time, stay warm, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next adventure.